So it's been a little while since I've done a video about Star Wars, and this news is coming out now. Actually, this news had been talked about 2 weeks ago from a lot of the insider film websites and blogs and whatnot, but now it's become, yesterday it actually became like a big story. The Hollywood Reporter, pretty much every major movie news website's reporting on it, and that is the return of Billy Dee Williams reprising his role as Lando Calrissian in the upcoming Star Wars Episode 9, directed by J.J. Abrams, the sequel to the very polarizing Last Jedi. Now, what makes this story really interesting is that this was not the original plan from everything that we had kind of heard in the past year or two. This idea of Lando coming back, while I do understand a lot of YouTube channels who have been covering the Last Jedi controversies, some of them are pretty good, some of them are pretty terrible. A lot of them are kind of hot garbage, but a lot of them have been saying that the thing with Lando is that them bringing back Billy Dee to portray Lando is a move of desperation because of the backlash that Disney and Lucasfilm have gotten from Last Jedi. And I'm not sure if I entirely agree to that, but however, I think there may be something to it for sure. I think it is a very smart business move, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. But essentially the story is that Billy Dee Williams is coming back to play Lando Calrissian in Star Wars Episode 9. Now, I was at Star Wars Celebration 2017 in Orlando, and I distinctly remember Billy Dee having a panel and saying that there were no plans to bring him in for the sequel trilogy. Now, obviously, Billy Dee, is much older now, but so would Lando be in the Star Wars universe. And I remember when they first did Force Awakens, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they can use Lando for the sequels. Now, unfortunately, there are some issues here. The fact that Billy Dee Williams said that there were no plans to bring him in for Episode 7, 8, and 9 at that panel tells me that, yes, this is a more recent decision. And this also, once again, confirms, this is not new news. You've been following the Star Wars news on my channel and other channels, that when they create these movies, as they put these movies together, they don't have a set direction. It's been discussed to death by so many different people. Star Wars Episode 7 and 8 had no overarching direction, and Kathleen Kennedy gave Rian Johnson carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, which is actually part of the reason as to why I think this is happening, because I do genuinely believe that in the original story that J.J. Abrams had thought up, he may not have had an idea for Lando, but I could be wrong on that. I could be totally wrong on that. But the thing that's going to suck is that even though I am really, really happy to see Billy Dee Williams come back to portray Lando, I feel like it's a case of maybe too little too late. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of Star Wars fans, including me, wanted to see Lando reunited with Han Solo on screen, and we didn't get that after Episode 8. After Episode 7, because Han Solo was killed by Kylo Ren. Harrison Ford is gone. We also wanted to see maybe, okay, well, Han died. Maybe we'll see them go find go find Lando Calrissian and get help in Episode 8. We didn't see that. And unfortunately, in the real world, Carrie Fisher passed away. So we're not going to get the Princess Leia Lando reunion. And Lando isn't really tied in with Luke as much as he is with Han and Leia and Chewie. So we may still get the Chewie and Lando reunion in Episode 9, but I just think it's a little bit too little too late. Now, why are they doing this? Is it a desperation move? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's entirely a desperation move, but Lando Calrissian is one of the last characters in the original trilogy that has not been put into the sequel trilogy. And I think most Star Wars fans are already kind of over this sequel trilogy, especially if they're fans who wanted to see the old characters come back and have one more adventure. Han Solo's dead. Carrie Fisher passed away. Luke Skywalker's dead at the end of Episode 8. So going into Episode 9 right now, the only characters from the old trilogy that are still alive, that are good guys, is Chewie and the droids, and Lando. That's pretty much it. There's probably a few, probably a few Republic people like Mon Mothma and whatnot that are still alive, but it's still not like the core cast. And Lando joined the core cast in Empire Strikes Back. And remember, he blew up the Death Star in Return of the Jedi, the Death Star 2. So he's an important character. Also, I think with what happened with Solo, because even though, like it or not, Solo did not do as well as Disney had thought, even though there were reports that they knew it wasn't going to do that well. One of the big, positives coming out of the film from pretty much everybody was that Donald Glover's portrayal of Lando was really close to Billy Dee's, you know, and it was, to me, a highlight of the Solo film. So that being said, I think it makes sense that Lando come back because he was the most over guy coming out of Solo. And like I said, with the fact that Luke Skywalker's dead and the older fans are really upset, well, some of them are, you know, going into Episode 9, we still have Rey, Finn, Poe, and Kylo Ren to kind of be the core characters, you know, but that's it. And the question is, do people care about these characters? I think people care about Kylo Ren. I think people care about him the most. I think people care about Rey to a degree. Finn and Poe, I think they cared more about them in Episode 7 than Episode 8. And, you know, as much as I really, really like Kelly Marie Tran, and what happened to her on social media was complete bullshit because she's a very sweet person from everything I've seen, didn't deserve the crap that she got. You know, Rose Tico is not a very well-liked character, and certainly not one that's in any way interesting going into Episode 9. Her story with her sister, they try to make it interesting. It really wasn't, to be honest. I hate to say that, but it wasn't, and nobody really cares about her. I haven't seen anybody really care about her. Even though I love the actress, the character itself, nobody cares. So essentially, bringing back Billy Dee Williams, is it going to matter at this point? And also, what's he going to do? Because I don't think he's going to get into any big blaster fights or any big flying of anything, but seeing him in the Millennium Falcon is cool because I love Return of the Jedi, and having it sort of be that, you know, like George Lucas said, they rhyme, where you have, like, you know, Return of the Jedi, you have Lando piloting the Falcon to blow up a big, you know, ship. Maybe in this film, he does something similar, where maybe during the final battle with the First Order, he pilots the Millennium Falcon, maybe with Chewie this time, and he, you know, blows up a First Order ship or something. I don't know. The big concern I've seen is people have talked about, oh man, like, what if they kill off Lando? I'll be honest, I think there's I hate saying this because I hope it doesn't happen, but I think there's a bigger chance they might actually kill off Chewie and destroy the Falcon. Because after Last Jedi, it kind of hit me that none of this stuff even matters anymore. So them bringing in Lando just to kill him, I think, would be pointless. But with the Millennium Falcon and with Chewie dying, I think we have, again, another connection to the old story that would be severed to try to emotionally connect with the audience. The problem is that I feel that a big chunk of the audience is so pissed off at what Last Jedi did with the old characters, not just Luke, but also what they did with Admiral Akbar, that I think killing off any old characters now is, unless it's absolutely necessary to further the plot, I would not do that right now. I would not do that ever again. Well, they only have one more movie left unless they add more. Yeah, I would not kill off Lando, Chewie, or the Falcon. You kind of want to let them ride off into the sunset, because I think a lot of Star Wars fans wanted, you know, Luke to ride off into the sunset, and it didn't happen. And one of the things that I've always found kind of interesting is that we know that Han Solo, Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi. Didn't happen, but for Force Awakens, he did die. And one of the things that people have been talking about is, why is it that Harrison Ford got what he wanted to kill off Han Solo, but Luke Skywalker, who had been complaining about his character from the beginning, and you can sit there and pretend like it didn't happen, but it did happen. Why is it that Rian Johnson and Disney just didn't give a shit about what Mark Hamill said? But Harrison Ford, you know, it's almost unfair in a way. It's like they have their own story, and they're not going to listen to the actors, when, even though I respect filmmakers, when it comes to Star Wars, Mark Hamill has been Luke Skywalker for 40 years, right? 41 years, actually. Whereas Rian Johnson, I don't even think he's been making movies that long. See what I'm saying? So you got to put some respect on the old school G's. And I'm glad that Billy Dee's coming back. And I will say that J.J. Abrams, with Force Awakens, no matter what you think about the movie, he definitely pays his respects, and he loves the old trilogy. And even though he loves the first one the most, I think that he will, at the very least, I'm not saying the film will be good, but I think he will do a good service to Lando. The article that I have right here is from the Hollywood Reporter, and it just pretty much just talks about, you know, Billy Dee Williams talking about the convention circuit, and you know he has been voicing Lando in the different cartoons and whatnot, like Rebels, but now they're saying no, he will be in the film, and there's Billy Dee right there. He's not even that old. He still could be Lando. Perhaps they need his help because, hey, if the Resistance and Leia have friends all over the galaxy to combat the First Order, one of them is Lando, and I could totally see the character of Lando, you know, being like again, still kind of a scoundrel, but having like a little militia or something, not too different from Maz Kanata. In fact, they could even have Maz Kanata be the one that finds Lando for them. You know what I mean? That would, I think, make the most sense. And have Maz Kanata get a bigger role. If we know that Leia's probably not going to be in this film, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen with her, but we know Carrie Fisher's not going to be there. There's been talks of recast. I don't think they're going to do that, but if she's not going to be in it, you might as well have Maz Kanata have a bigger role because she did nothing in Last Jedi. So those are my thoughts on Billy Dee Williams coming back to portray Lando in Star Wars Episode 9, which comes out about a year and a half from now. So we have a while to go for this film. But I'm going to go see it, even though I'm very disconnected from Star Wars now. I'm not invested as much as I used to be anymore. I liked Solo, didn't like Last Jedi, and Rebels near the end really let me down, to be honest with you. And I do hope that they can bounce back and make... They're going to have to make a few good movies, really, to get a lot of the Star Wars fans back. Last Jedi did a lot of damage. No matter what you say, no matter... Even if you love that movie, Last Jedi did a lot of damage. So, is this damage control? Probably, but it's also a smart business move to at least keep that last tie-in. I just wish that we could have actually seen, you know, Carrie, Mark, Harrison, and Billy Dee together one more time. I would have loved that. So, unfortunately, the Carrie Fisher passing is what really made it the worst, because you can't, you know, you just can't bring her back. You know, you could bring back Luke the Ghost or Han in flashbacks, or even, you know, reveal that Han didn't actually die, which would be terrible, but they could do that. With Carrie Fisher, you know, yeah, you have technology to do stuff like that, but I don't think anybody wants to see that. I think it would be a mistake. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys soon.